You weren't even worth mentioning prior to your existence, not because you were loathed, but because you simply did not exist. And that single fact softly dispels the most common illusion that we are the center of everything. Surah Al-Insan isn't just about creation. It reveals how the human mind develops ego, loses sight of its objective, and panics when things don't go as planned. The secret isn't concealed because it's complex. It is hidden because it is uncomfortable. Tonight, let's look at the bits that most people skip over. Most people do not feel anti-spiritual. They simply feel exhausted. Life becomes a loop. Wake up, scroll, work, worry, and repeat. You assure yourself that you will slow down later. You will reconnect later. You'll reflect thoroughly later. However, things continue to go forward. Here's a relatable scenario. You're lying in bed, phone in hand, when you realize you've been busy all day, but can't remember what it was about. Or another example, something goes wrong, and your mind immediately begins writing a story. This always happens to me. I'm falling behind. What if I never recover? You don't even get to choose the plot. It chose you. Surah Al-Insan is unusually forthright on the inner autopilot. It demonstrates how we forget where we came from, why we were given a choice, and what suffering does to us internally. At the end of this video, you'll know 3 things. 1. Understanding the convincing nature of the ego. 2. Understanding the connection between worry and distraction. 3. Discovering how the surah cultivates a steady mind in a volatile environment. Surah Al-Insan, Surah 76, serves as our anchor with a focus on Ayah 1 to 3, before deriving meaning from Ayah 4 to 12 and Ayah 29 to 31. In Ayah 1 to 3, paraphrase, the surah poses a piercing question. Was there ever a period when the human being was nothing worth mentioning? Then it reminds us that people are of mixed origin, and life is a test. Then it makes an important point. We were given the root, and we can choose thankfulness or rejection. That sequence is important. It starts with your non-existence, then moves on to your fragile genesis, then puts you through a test, and finally discusses choice. In other words, your life is neither random nor mechanical. You are not an accident. You are not a robot. In Ayah 4 to 12, paraphrase, the surah depicts 2 paths. One in which a person gets rigid and trapped, and another in which a person grows stable and generous. It characterizes people who contribute not for the sake of being noticed, but because they fear a bad day and want to do the right thing, even if it means paying the price. It also implies that true peace is more than just comfort. It is also about being safe from inner turmoil. The surah concludes this topic in Ayah 29 to 31. Paraphrase, by reminding us that this message is a reminder and that anyone can choose to follow God's path, but we must still rely on God's kindness and will. Psychology Connection, 1 line. This surah confronts the ego's favorite defense, the fiction of I'm in control of everything, which frequently leads to anxiety when reality refuses to cooperate. Here is a simplified explanation of the mechanism. Your mind requires a consistent self-story. Without it, you feel vulnerable, so the ego creates a story that sounds confident. I know who I am. I understand what I deserve. I know how life should be. That story keeps you going, but it has a downside. It forces you to view life as a contract. When a contract is violated, you feel more than simply pain. You feel insulted. An insult might swiftly develop into wrath, terror, or numbness. Surah Al-Insan cuts to the heart of that self-story. You were not always here. You did not make yourself. You did not discuss your body, family, decades, strengths, or flaws. That does not absolve responsibility. It places accountability in the proper place. You are responsible for your decisions during the exam, not for governing the entire world. Example 1. A common recent example. Consider status and attention. You post something, check the response, and your mood slowly becomes depending on numbers. If the numbers are positive, you feel seen. If they aren't, you feel small. The ego views this as survival. However, it is not survival. It's a fragile identity that begs for validation. Example 2. Internal example. Consider how you talk to yourself after a failure. The ego frequently employs a smart trick. It pretends to be realistic, but is actually preserving pride. It says things like, "There's no point trying," nor "I'm just not that kind of person," nor "I'll start when I feel ready." That is not the truth. That's avoidance disguised as insight. Surah Al-Insan reframes the entire situation. You're being tested, you've been shown a route, and your true dignity stems from conscious choosing rather than constant confirmation. Mirror moment question. What part of your daily tension stems from your ego's inability to control the storyline? Here's what changes when you see it. You stop treating reality like it owes you a certain outcome. You still plan, you still work, you still care, but the emotional grip loosens because your sense of self is no longer built on guaranteed results. It's built on a steadier foundation, intention, sincerity, and moral clarity. Surah Al-Insan doesn't deny suffering, it places it inside meaning. The surah's opening is almost like a reset button for the nervous system. Remember your origin, remember the test, remember the gift of guidance. When you forget those three, you don't become bad, you become mentally noisy. Everything feels personal, everything feels urgent, everything feels like a threat. And then the surah shows another type of person, someone who can give even when it costs them, someone who is not controlled by fear of loss, someone who thinks beyond the next mood swing. This isn't moralizing, it's a practical insight about the self. When your identity is anchored in "I must win," you become brittle. When it's anchored in "I must choose well," you become resilient. That is the shift from outcome obsession to choice awareness. Practical takeaways. Step 1. Perform a daily origin reset. 60 seconds. What to do. Pause once a day and say, in your own words, "I wasn't always here. My life is both a gift and a challenge. Today, I chose one good deed and one averted sin." Write only one act and keep it small. Why it works psychologically. It disrupts the ego's trance and minimizes destructive thoughts. The Qur'an-aligned framing helps you shift from vague concern to clear intentions. This recalls the surah's opening admonition and the idea that guidance is provided and decisions are important. Surah 76, 1-3, 1-3, paraphrased. Step 2. Replace "why me" in "what is my next right choice?" What to do. When something stimulates you, notice the initial protest in your mind. After that, inquire, what is my next right choice within what I can control? One action, one sentence, one apology, one border, one prayer. Why it works psychologically. It helps you move from helpless ruminating to agency. According to Surah 76, life is framed as a moral test rather than a random punishment, emphasizing genuine power over one's response. Step 3. Practice hidden good once each week. What to do. Perform one silent act of service that no one needs to know about. Help someone, give something, remove a burden, leave it unannounced. Why it works psychologically. Hidden good reduces the need for external validation while increasing self-respect. The Quran-aligned framing trains the heart to act without performing. Surah 76, 8-11 rewards those who donate sincerely and not for acclaim. Again, double-check the terminology in your translation. Surah Al-Insan does not flatter the human being, and that is part of its benevolence. It takes you out of the fiction that you are self-made and brings you back to the reality that your life has purpose. If you felt isolated, don't start by making drastic changes. Begin with an honest reset. Remember where you came from, recognize what you can't change, and choose one tiny positive with sincerity. May we be granted clarity, firmness, and a heart that remembers. If you found this helpful, please subscribe. And in the comments, tell us which line from Surah Al-Insan affects you the hardest and why.